and welcome to this playoff edition of the LL Football Preview Show here on GameTimePA.com. I'm John Buffone, and with me is Andrew Callahan of the Lebanon Daily News, and we're here to break down some of the most interesting playoff matchups in District 3 this weekend. Andrew, 9 LL games, a lot of good ones on the docket. Let's start with a team from your neck of the woods and a team from my neck of the woods. That would be Palmyra traveling to Lampeter-Strasburg in a 12-5 matchup. Palmyra started off pretty hot this year and then faded as the year progressed. LS actually peaking at the right time, one of the hottest teams in the LL going into the playoffs. Do you see Palmyra having a chance here?
I do, and speaking with head coach Chris Pope, who was just named All-County Coach of the Year a couple nights ago, as voted here in Lebanon, they're getting healthier, and I think that's been a big driving factor behind their tough stretch down at the end of the season. And I think if they're able to control the ball, as always, Trench play is at most at a premium during the playoffs. When you see these unfamiliar opponents, I think if they're able to shore things up front against LS, I think they definitely have a shot.
And LS has the ultimate X factor in quarterback Colin Bearshank. He can run the ball, throw the ball. Like I've said in previous episodes, it's like trying to tackle a refrigerator. It's impossible.
A fast fridge.
A very fast refrigerator. And their run defense was shaky at the beginning of the year. They tightened that up a little bit. They get plenty of practice running against some of these veer offenses in Section 2. So they're going to try to keep Palmyra's run game kind of bunched in, try to control the clock themselves. Should be a good matchup in Lampeter. Let's move on. We're going to go to Class 4A when number 5 Hempfield will host Southwestern. Now, you look at this matchup and you think, well, Hempfield should be favored. And I would, and if you're going to ask me if I'm a betting man, I would say that I would go with.
We both.
We would both go with Hempfield. Southwestern's defense, however, is only allowing about 16 points per game, and Hempfield's defense also nothing to overlook either. So this could be a defensive battle, but when you look at it, you just think that Hempfield probably has more firepower on offense to generate enough points to win.
I would think so too, and it's not to say that Southwestern hasn't faced its top-notch competition, but you look at the schedule that Hempfield annually goes through in Section 1, and you start with Wilson, perennially a district favorite, and they were right there with them till the absolute end.
Absolutely.
Against the Bulldogs at home. And then start with that physical play defensively that you mentioned, but also being able to push Wilson offensively, and they were able to get a couple of scores. So I think Hempfield there with its depth and its metal tested, they should be ready to go against Southwestern. And like you said, I think you have to favor them here in the first round.
Yeah, they have an explosive 1-2 punch with quarterback Sam Kramer, who can run it out of the shotgun. They can hand it off to Will Blair, who's one of the fastest tailbacks in the LL, and they got playmakers on the outside too. Hempfield should be favored, but it's playoff football. Anything can happen. The next contest we're going to talk about is number 4 Solanco hosting number 13 Shippensburg. And to help us do that, our friends in Franklin County, Lizi Arbogast and Lindsey Smith, are going to take care of that one. Girls, what do you have to say about this?
Hi, I'm Lizi Arbogast alongside Lindsey Smith, and we're with GameTimePA Franklin Fulton, and we are here to preview our one final team in the football District 3 AAA playoffs starting Friday. Shippensburg, number 13 seed. They're going to travel to Solanco to take on the Golden Mules. They are ranked number 4. What do we see from Solanco?
I don't know much about Solanco, admittedly, but I do know they like to run the ball. They've only passed the ball 55 times total this year, so they got a lot of really powerful guys on the ground. So Shippensburg's going to have to tighten up their run defense, as well as their passing game's going to need to be on, which, Tyler Gustafson, Wade Mills, Cody Gustafson have been fantastic these last few weeks of the season. So.
And hopefully Zion Ware will be back. Zion Ware and Cole Freeze were both missing last week. I'd heard that Cole was going to be back. Still not sure about Zion, but hopefully that will help them if they do need to go to their run game. So
luckily, Shippensburg had Nathaniel Sheffield and Cameron Tinner to step up in the game last week against Greencastle. They had a great game last week, and they really stepped up and took the challenge head on.
They're going to need to play well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So hopefully we'll be back here for another week. Thanks.
So there you have it. Solanco, obviously, the run-heavy team. Ship likes to, air it out a little bit more than the Golden Mules do, but you got to think that Solanco will be favored in this one. Let's move forward in another AAA matchup. That will be Manheim Central, the number 3 seed, hosting number 14 Spring Grove. Manheim Central, what can you say? Coming off a huge, emotional 21-18 win over Solanco, previously undefeated Solanco. They grab a share of the Section 2 crown. 3 teams got a share of the Section 2 crown. First time ever in LL history that's happened. And they've done this by overcoming a boatload of injuries. Cody Kegerice, the quarterback last week, had 3 total touchdowns, 2 passing, 1 running. running, including the game winner with about a minute and a half left to seal the win for the Barons. They're flying high right now, and they got a lot of momentum going into this. Spring Grove kind of just ekes into the playoffs after beating Southwestern, a Quad A school, last week, so that gave them enough, points in the power rankings to slip into the Class AAA playoffs. You gotta like Manheim Central in this one, don't you?
You do, and last week before that Solenko matchup, I talked about their playoff pedigree, having that experience in big games, and you could certainly see that help them against the Mules on the road, coming out with the victory that you alluded to, and I think it helps them here. They had that big win, but they'll know how to hit the reset button as you charge into districts, because you lose, you're done. Like, it's where they're at right now, and I think you see the Barons moving on, as you mentioned, too, getting healthier, which is also the second biggest factor this time of year.
And like you said, Manheim Central pedigree for the playoffs. This is nothing new for them. They're not a lot. I mean, the pressure isn't exactly mounting for them. They expect to be here, and they want to take care of business. The last game we're going to talk about is another team in your neck of the woods. That'd be Northern Lebanon, a 15 seed going to Northeastern. This is kind of a quirky situation because Northern Lebanon, not really your typical 15 seed because their losses didn't come on the field. They were a result of a forfeit. So if you're Northeastern, you're thinking, well, that's not really, that's not the 15 seed you want to face. Somebody who hasn't lost on the field all year. Northern Lebanon, they like to control the line of scrimmage with their big guys up front. Northeastern kind of the same, but they do sport a little bit more of a passing offense when need be. Do the Vikings have a chance here?
I think they do, and for that reason that you just mentioned, that trench play. Senior George Thompson has been a stalwart there all 4 of his years up in Northern Lebanon. Isaac Wenger, who he's taken occasional snaps too. George moving between guard and center has been unstoppable. The numbers he's put up the last few weeks have just been absolutely insane. It started with a key win against Elko, and then from then he's just been on fire. So I think they're going to have to get him on the edge in one-on-one situations to have success, which he's been able to do. Obviously, it'll be a different level of play than you faced lately in terms of Columbia, which was their last win in earlier games, but I think if they're able to get him in those spots and avoid having to pass to come back, I think they'll be in a good position because they would prefer to run that option on the edge, and they can throw it around, but I think when you find that discrepancy and the step up they're going to have to face in competition, obviously in a 2-seed Northeastern, it's going to be a different scenario, and that they'll have to play to their strength. Keep it on the ground, keep it in the trenches, keep it close, and then hopefully for the Vikings, Wenger can break out for a couple long touchdowns just as he has this last month.
One of the more interesting 15-2 matchups you're going to see. Well, that's all we have for the LL Football Preview show. Playoffs are underway, so you're not going to get a bad game. There's not a bad one in the bunch, so this is the most exciting time of the year. So for updates on all your favorite games, be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And as always, enjoy the games this weekend.